Good day to you, Columbus Crew supporters and MLS fans around the world. My name is Music Major. Today we will be talking Columbus Crew soccer. We're going to talk past results, major news, and we're going to even preview this weekend's matchup with the Seattle Sounders. And let me tell you what, my goodness, I do not know what has happened to this franchise since the last time I put out a video. But anyway, as I mentioned, guys, the gameplay we will have running in the background is going to be the matchup between the Sounders and the Crew, which is scheduled to take place this weekend. Let me get an official date for you. August 31st, 7:30 p.m. at Columbus Crew Stadium. This is going to be either a one or a two-part, well, no, it's going to be a two-part or a three-part video. Talking about the random happenings with the Columbus Crew, since I haven't really been on to talk much about them lately. And I told you guys I would get more FIFA videos out to you. So we're going to start that off right now. The major news of the time is the Hunts have sold the Columbus Crew and Crew Stadium for approximately $68 million, if I do recall, being that number, to Precourt Sports Ventures, I believe is the company name of Mr. Anthony Precourt, who has bought the Columbus Crew, and to be quite honest, has a massive, pardon the pun, challenge in front of him with the years going forward. There's a very interesting article that if you go to SportsIllustrated.com, written by a good man by the name of Brian Strauss. I don't know him personally, but he's got some really valid points in here, talking about the disparity between a mid-market team or a smaller market team like the Columbus Crew as opposed to a bigger team like the New York Red Bulls or like the LA Galaxy, and talks about the disparity in growth between the markets. And he says that, you know, Mr. Precourt has a lot of work to do with the team, and I do agree that. I agree to that. But he says, you know, he bought a stadium that, you know, sits on the edge of a barren fairground, and for many Columbus residents, it's, you know, 4 miles feels like 40, I guess. I don't know what he's talking about on that one, but it lacks in what the stadium lacks in character. He says it makes up insignificant, and it's where the spot where MLS seemingly turned the corner. It opened in 1999. The facility paved the way for the construction boom that offered clubs the opportunity to establish roots and revenue streams. Columbus was the vanguard. That sounds so hoity-toity. But at the time, if you think about it, Columbus Crew Stadium really was the first soccer-specific stadium in the United States, which is really quite something because, as we all know, soccer's not really the big sport here. It's the NFL or Major League Baseball, not the NHL, unfortunately. But, you know, and it's very interesting that thinking about everything that Mr. Precourt has to deal with, they're talking about increasing seating, you know, making it better for the fan, trying to make it more comfortable, and try to lure more people in there. I believe they're going to start a new construction project on some seating here, perhaps at the end of the year leading into the next season. But Mr. Precourt and Mark McCullers, the general manager, have decided that Goal 10K is still in place. And if you're unfamiliar with Goal 10K is the season ticket initiative to get 10,000 season ticket holders per season for the Crew, I guess would be the best way to say that. Currently, the Crew media department released today that they are, I believe, just south of 7,500, I do believe, season ticket holders for the year, which is not bad, but the stadium's pretty big. I mean, it's drawn in about 15,000, maybe 15,200 roughly, but the attendance rank still is about 14th in a 19-team league, so we got to get some market share there if we're the Crew. And, you know, you got to buy tickets, and if you buy tickets, you support your team. The team's going to have more revenue streams. We can go back out and get some DPs, hopefully. You know, with Clint Dempsey making a run with the Sounders. I will touch on that a little bit later. But, you know, Higuain, to my knowledge, I believe is the only DP on the Crew right now. You know, and we need to be putting ourselves into a position where we can have two DPs and get some really solid players. But anyway, some interesting things that I found out about Mr. Precourt, mainly when the Hunt family sold the team to him. You know, he's a West Coast guy. He's from Colorado. Now he's based in San Francisco. really has fallen in love with the sport of soccer, which he's been a fan, which is great. I'm okay with. A lot of people are kind of freaking out that they thought initially he might move the team to the West Coast. He might keep them out. Mayor Michael Coleman of Columbus straight up asked Mr. Precourt and said, will you be moving the team? And he said, no, the Crew are here to stay, which is great because they're one of the founding teams in the MLS, which is excellent. But another thing that was really interesting was that people were talking about a potential rebranding of the franchise. And when I say that, vis-a-vis, think of the Kansas City Wizards. They're no longer around. They're sporting Kansas City. And I don't think this would be bad for the Crew. I think you're going to divide the fan base slightly just because you're going to have the diehards that think it's black and gold till they die. You know, but can you imagine really Sporting Columbus, or what would you call it? Columbus FC? Crew FC? How would you rebrand it? You know, it will be interesting to see the ideas going forward on how they decide to potentially take this rebranding out, or how Mr. Precourt wants to spend his money and hopefully lure some better talent vis-a-vis a Clint Dempsey, maybe an Eddie Johnson. I'm speaking purely hypothetical. I'm not speaking from fact here either. But, you know, just to put it in perspective for you, since you're watching this video, we just need to get some better talent because currently at the moment, and I will get into that in the next video, the talent, we have a team that can win. It's just the coaching's been a little lackluster. And I'll tell you what, it's really funny because the coaching was very, very bad prior to me leaving on vacation. I leave and they win 2 matches in sequential order and look sharp, and then they come back when I come back in the United States, and it's not pretty. But there's Peppa. But anyway, it's interesting to see where this team's going to go forward. Ideally, if we can get stadium naming rights, or perhaps even build another stadium, if Columbus would support that, can you imagine having, and I'm speaking to the local Columbus fans here, down in the Arena District, Nationwide Arena, Huntington Park, and new Crew Stadium. I'm not saying it needs to be down there because I understand that would be a traffic nightmare, predominantly in the spring when the Clippers and the Crew are playing at the same time. But can you imagine that? Think of the possibilities here. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching part 1. Tune in a little later on for part 2. That's the end of the first half. We'll see you in the next video, guys. Thanks so much.